Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Zomboys. This is our second episode. If you haven't listened to the first one, what are you doing? Go listen. It was really good. So today what we saw was Abraham Lincoln versus zombies. I'm your host, Casey Lynch, here with...
Michael Swain. Yep, today we watched Abe Lincoln versus Zombies, something that we weren't sure how it was going to be, but spoiler alert, we were pleasantly surprised.
Oh boy, were we. Yeah, this is something I've seen at my library a bunch in the DVD section. Always passed it by because why would I ever want to watch this? But I figured this was a good second movie for us. It's far different from the sort of dramatic, I guess you'd call dramatic first movie we watched. I figured, hey, let's pick one that's just action, schlock, bad, stupid, horrible. Clearly aping off of it's not success, but clearly aping off of Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. So we kind of explained how this works the first step, so I'm not going to do too much of that. So, hey Mike, what the fuck are these things?
Alright, so, what these things are,
First, how they move. How do they move?
They're definitely, Romero shambling zombies. They're not fast moving at all. In fact, much of the movie they stand still in place and don't move, whatsoever until there's some sort of noise around them.
Yeah, that was kind of weird because they didn't move unless there was noise, except... I don't know. It didn't have to be the people making the noise. If just a noise happened, they would attack people. But people could walk right next to them, and otherwise they'd be fine. Which was weird.
Yeah, that was a little weird. It was like an infection, but also it seemed like they were walking corpses. It seemed like it was like double thing, because at one point they came out of the ground, and that was confusing.
They were just... It was like they were hiding, just waiting, under just like a few inches of dirt. They were. It was weird.
But yeah, so infection. One of the main characters.
We assume infection. It could be some sort of spiritual disease. We don't know. It's kind of
one of the main characters gets zombie blood in her mouth, and she turns into a zombie eventually.
Yeah. So bites, scratches, or blood in your mouth will infect you.
Yeah.
And they just seem to eat people.
And they didn't call them. They didn't call them zombies at first.
Yeah.
Until the one main character. It's sort of main character.
It's an ensemble cast. This was an ensemble cast.
One of the main characters says
he's the only African American in Lincoln's Secret Service.
Yeah, only black guy in the movie.
And only one person has a problem with, which for the time is strange, but was fine for this movie. To not have a bunch of racist characters all the time. Only one character seemed to have an issue with him until we meet up with the Confederacy. Well, actually, the Confederacy doesn't really have a problem with him.
No,
just this one character who we'll get into. He was amazing.
My favorite character in the movie.
He was pretty good, and that's not because we're racist. We'll explain later why he's the greatest. We don't really know if other creatures can become zombies. We assume not. It doesn't come up.
Yeah, it didn't come up. They get infected, and Abe Lincoln says within 24 hours they turn into a zombie.
Yeah, you slowly turn into a zombie.
So quick touching on the storyline of what IMDb says the storyline is of this movie. The plot synopsis, according to IMDb, is as Abraham Lincoln labors over the Gettysburg Address, the importance of which he is fully aware, he learns that a menace from his past has returned, threatening to tear the already fractured nation to pieces. He must journey behind enemy lines to face a foe far more fearsome than the Confederate Army, the Walking Dead. So, this plot synopsis is way more accurate than the Resort's.
Oh yeah, this is spot on.
This is what the movie is about.
This is what the movie is about, which is a shame. We can't make fun of this, but yeah, that's the movie.
And then the tagline is: he emancipated the slaves, he saved the Union, and slaughtered the undead.
Fuck yeah, he did. Best
tagline ever.
We'll get into the word emancipate later when we get to that part. Man, this movie was fucking fantastic. Okay, let's, alright. So normally we just have we seen this before? No.
No, I've seen this many times,
we've-
like as on like my cable box that I could watch it. I hadn't jumped to watching it. If I would have known how great it was, I would have. I now regret not watching it earlier.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this a lot. Probably bi-weekly.
This is great. Go out and watch this movie.
Yeah, if you have friends who enjoy shitty movies, definitely watch this movie before you listen. Definitely do it.
And people on IMDb don't know what they're talking about. They're saying it's a 3.1 out of 10.
They're fucking idiots. Bunch of hacks.
Idiots.
Hacks don't know what they're talking about. This movie was glorious. It was, I actually also wish I watched a historical documentary on the time period, because there's a lot of
there's a lot of historical characters.
Yeah,
in this
a lot
movie.
of the figures are like, oh, hey, this is this person, and I'm gonna feel dumb if you know a lot about the Civil War period. Don't mock me for not knowing these characters, because it was a plethora of just who's who of the Civil War.
And even not so much the Civil War. We'll get into that.
We'll get into that. So you want to jump right into this?
Yeah, let's jump right into it.
All right.
So it starts out, Abe Lincoln...
Oh, wait, hold on. I want to say how it really starts out, because we watched the previews.
Yes, so...
The previews were great, but before even the previews, it was just...
It was the Asylum. So
Yes.
this movie's produced by the Asylum.
Yes.
Anybody who knows B-movie horror movies knows the Asylum, because they make all the shitty...
Yeah,
horror
they
movies.
did
They made Transmorphers. They
Yeah.
made Two-Headed Shark Attack.
Pacific Rim.
No, they didn't make Pacific Rim.
Okay, that was the good one. Oh, okay.
The Pacific Rim was the good one.
Well, not
They made-
not good, but they made the Atlantic Rim then, whatever.
Yeah, they made the spoof off of that.
So what they did, they just take other movies and make shit, or just random shit.
So before the previews, there's a whole thing of them just jerking themselves off.
That is, I literally put Asylum jerking themselves off. That
They
is what I
go-
wrote in my notes.
They have this whole thing of
It's just a clip reel of
15
like...
years, 100 movies, and it says, "You're welcome."
And we both fucking started dying.
It just goes, "You're welcome."
It is such a fucking, just a jerk off for them. Like,
It's
you
fantastic.
guys love us, you idiots. Here's this dumb movie you're gonna watch. Here's all the other dumb movies you can watch. But it was great. It was great just to start off a movie with them saying, like, we're gonna fucking blow your minds in about 5 minutes.
But now I have to say thank you, Asylum, for
Oh, yeah,
producing
thank
Abe
you.
Lincoln.
Yeah, that well-warranted you're welcome, because thank you for the last, hour and a half or however long it was.
Best 90 minutes I've ever spent watching a
Oh,
movie.
it was so good. It crushes any Oscar nomination this year. I don't even know what it is, but this was Phantom Thread, fuck you. Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies. should
Right
win.
now, Black Panther's killing it in the box office. Fuck you, Black Panther.
Fuck you.
Go watch
Abe
Go
Lincoln
watch Abe-
versus Zombies.
Exactly.
Stay out of the theaters and rent this movie. Okay, so sorry to interrupt. Sorry for
So-
interrupting, but
yeah.
now we can get into the actual movie.
So, the movie starts with two people running through the woods away from zombies, and sort of slashing them a little bit and beating them up, and one of them gets bit, and the woman gets bit. It's a woman and a man, and they go back to the house, and now it's like a couple days later, and you hear a gunshot, and you see a guy out in the, like a little kid, out in the front lawn chopping wood. And you hear a gunshot, and then the kid goes upstairs, and you find out the kid's Abraham Lincoln, and he's like 9 years old. And his mom got turned into a zombie, and his dad's like, I couldn't do it, so he shot himself, but it's a really slow headshot death scene.
He shoots himself in the head, and it looks like the blood was on his cheek, so did he put the gun in his mouth sideways and just fucked it up? But so he shoots himself in the head, but still has got about 15 seconds to chat with his son, which is lovely.
Yeah, so he dies.
So he leaves his son.
And he's like, you have to kill your mother.
Yeah, he leaves his son. He shoots himself and then leaves his son to kill his own mother.
So Abe Lincoln, instead of picking up the gun and using it on his mom, picks up a scythe and slices her head off. And then it's Abe Lincoln versus zombies.
Oh, man.
And we're like, all right, sweet.
When he uses this scythe, which it'll be a different scythe later, an amazing scythe, which I fucking love, which if you've seen the cover, you'll know. It is, every time he decapitates someone, I laughed in just pure horror, like triumphant horror. It was amazing.
It was definitely amazing. It was something, but it was definitely amazing.
It was amazing. It's just like that childlike delight of seeing horror, like where it's weird, but it's funny and it's great. It was that a lot.
So now it goes to the Battle of Gettysburg, and it's just like a quick thing where I was like, oh, these are pretty good action scenes considering who produced this movie.
I said it was probably just B-roll they bought.
As we watched further on, I got more and more convinced of that. There wasn't nearly enough CGI for it to be a silent making this movie. So Battle of Gettysburg, and then Mary Todd Lincoln.
She is the worst actress ever.
Yeah, she's really, really bad.
She's so bad. It was funny to start the movie with that.
Because Abe Lincoln's like, well, I gotta go to Gettysburg, and she's like, well, why? These men are dead. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you go memorialize them? What's it gonna do?
She's a real bitch.
Yeah. So then you find out that Abe Lincoln sent a secret team on a mission to go and capture a fort. And there was only one survivor of this mission. Now he's driven mad and was talking about dead people biting people.
Well, that doesn't make sense. But it does to Abe Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln knows it makes sense. So they go to this fort with this doctor, and they meet this guy who's turning into a zombie. And he's talking about how all these dead people bit them, and they would just bite them. And he's like chained up to the bed, and Abe Lincoln is like, I know what's going on.
So they go outside, and he talks to his commander of the... What do they call that? The Secret Service.
Yeah, he's like, oh, is the Secret Service all spun up? And he's like, we have like 12 guys. He's like, just enough for a mission.
Yeah, so he's going to send the head of the Secret Service with the men to go and find out what's going on.
So while this is happening, it shows the inside of now the guy fully turns into a zombie. Apparently these zombies also have superhuman strength.
Yeah, because he just...
But only this one. Because all the rest of the zombies in the movie never had superhuman strength.
Any other chained up zombies are fine. This one just rips through his chains.
Yeah, just rips the chains off the bed, attacks the doctor, runs outside. People are like trying to go after him, but instead of using their guns, they're just like trying to hit him with their guns.
Yeah, it's really poorly done action. It's bad.
Now it gets to a point of where the Secret Service guy's like, oh, I'll stop him, and runs upstairs. He gets bit. Abe Lincoln jumps up there he takes a guy's sword first, and jumps up there and swings at the zombie, and the zombie just blocks the sword with his hands.
He is literally like just blocking this sword with his arms, and it's doing nothing. Like this sword is like, it's like they used a practice sword by accident.
Yep. And then one of the other guys goes, Abe, and throws him this thing, and it's folded up.
He tells somebody a little bit earlier, like, go get the wrapped up package in my closet.
Yes.
So he's got this package.
And he goes, Abe, and he throws it to him, and it's a small little thing, and he gets it, and it's a scythe that folds in half.
It's like a straight razor, but it's a scythe.
And he flings it out and chops the zombie's head off in like one fell swoop.
When he whips this thing out and just like pops it open, it is fucking amazing. Just like swing, and oh god, it's so good.
Yeah, head clean off, and so now he's like, oh well, I will lead the Secret Service men. And instead of like people putting up a fight and being like, you're the fucking president of the United States, you can't go on a secret mission, they're like, they try it first. They're like, well, you know, Abe, that's not a good idea. He's like, how could I send someone on a suicide mission if I won't go myself?
Well,
and they're like, all right,
that makes sense.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
Lincoln.
President of the country that is severely having issues right now, go on a secret mission behind enemy lines.
And he's like, but no one can know I'm gone, not even Mary Todd Lincoln. Yeah. So they get on this train, and they stop the train before a tunnel, it looks like, and they walk on the train tracks.
Yeah.
Because
they could shoot there for free. Because they didn't have to get any permits.
But now this train, obviously CGI.
Ooh, it's bad.
It's bad CGI. And the trees in the background, CGI.
Were they? You said that. I don't know if they were.
They looked really bad.
There's so much going on that is like bad that it's hard to tell sometimes.
But this is one of those movies, I know we keep saying bad, this is one of those movies where bad is good.
Yes. Yeah. If you know anything about So Bad It's Good, this is what we're talking about.
It's fantastic. So now we start to get introduced to the rest of the cast of characters. You have the black guy who doesn't have a name. They don't mention his name throughout the entire thing.
His name. No.
You got a big fat guy. His name's Chamberlain.
Which we're gonna talk about him later. He's gonna probably end out this podcast because the actor is a genius, and we'll call him out by name later because I love him.
You have a guy Wilkinson.
Yeah, Wilkinson.
He drinks out of a flask all the time, and he talks to one of the other guys, and he's like, He's like, "Did you vote for Abe Lincoln for president?" And they start talking about voting.
He's like, "I didn't."
No, he's like, "I didn't vote for Lincoln." He's like, "I was a Douglas man myself." He's like, "But he's my president." And like Wilkinson like has like this look in his eye that you can't trust him, and that's because he's fucking John Wilkes Booth.
Oh yeah,
we called it from like after this. There's one more illusion that he's John Wilkes Booth, and then I said to Casey, I was like, "Well, he's John Wilkes Booth."
Yeah, and I was like,
"Oh
fuck, you are
Casey's
so
like,
right."
"Oh my god, yes he is."
It is. It's later on. We'll skip ahead and we can get back to it. But it's later on. He's walking. You know, they're like fighting off zombies, like clearing the thing.
And the one guy goes, "What are you gonna do when you're all done with the war?" And Wilkinson goes, "I'm gonna go back on stage because I'm an actor by trade."
Yeah, which John Wilkes Booth was.
And they go, and he goes, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah." And he just has like this look in his eye, and he goes, "He's such a bad actor, this guy too."
Yeah, he also he has two guns, one like a normal revolver, and one like
a little gun. Like
one with a little gun. And Mike knows much more about guns than me, and I was like, you see that little gun? Is that something they would have at that time? And he's like, yeah, that's the gun John Wilkes Booth uses to shoot Lincoln in the back of the head.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It is just the rest of the movie. Every time you see him, it's another thing like, hey, I'm John Wilkes Booth.
Alluding to
but we're not going to tell you yet. But it's so fucking obvious.
So
yeah, so they're walking there.
So they walk to this fort that they're going to try and take over from the south. But so Abe Lincoln has a sit down with his guys, and he doesn't tell them about zombies.
Yeah,
not at all. He's just like,
knows.
he knows what's going on. He knows that there's walking corpses around.
Yeah,
doesn't tell his guys. He's just like, "Oh, we're gonna take this fort over from the south and figure out what's going on."
Warn them. What's happening?
They walk up to this fort, and instead try and sneak in. They open up the door and walk right into it.
They walk in the front. They walk in the front gate and just walk right into the courtyard.
They don't know how many guys are. There could be 500 Confederate soldiers.
It could be,
inside.
they could. So good move, Mr.
And so
President.
They push on the thing. They snap the boards that are holding this door closed.
Yeah, the plank. You know how they normally have like the planks like that they hold off doors. This one they have it upside down so it falls out, so they have to prop it up.
So they have to prop it up with a board.
Like just turn the thing around and it'll keep the door closed.
So they get inside. And immediately they get in a gunfight with Confederate soldiers. So they get in a gunfight. But now while this gunfight's going on, the gunfire brings zombies in.
Yeah.
And now zombies are coming to the back. So now they're fighting the zombies.
Lincoln's still not saying, hey, these are dead people.
No, one guy walks up to him. He goes, "Identify yourself." Yeah. He yells at the zombie. And the zombie just like lumbers towards him. He's like, "Hey!" And he shoots him in the chest. And the zombie bites him like in the neck area.
Yeah.
And then the guy... Abe Lincoln comes over, kills the zombie, and then pulls out a pistol and just shoots this fucking guy in the head. No explanation.
Still no one knows.
No one knows.
Could you imagine being somewhere with your president, or, any president you choose, being somewhere with a president you respect and having him just walk over and shoot a wounded man right in the fucking head?
It's just like, oh,
no
boom,
explanation.
Dead. And everybody's like, "What the fuck?"
Lincoln, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, "Don't worry about it."
He's like, "Don't worry about it."
He still doesn't explain for another...
He's like, "You gotta shoot him in the head."
Yeah, he says that a few minutes later.
Yeah, nope, doesn't explain it first.
Yeah.
Now he's like, "Go close the gate." And guys are running to close the gate.
Yeah.
But now the Confederate soldiers are just shooting the guys in the back as
they were like
to the gate.
They were like, "Oh, the gate's too out in the open. We can't close it." And he's like, "Okay, go close the gate." And they're like, "Okay." And so they go close the gate.
And they get shot. Okay. The one guy gets shot in the back. They go and they close the gate. And now they're like, "Oh, we're gonna find where the Confederate soldiers are hiding."
Yeah, because
so they go downstairs in the basement.
Apparently, the Confederate soldiers just stop shooting at them and just run away. Don't know why.
They go downstairs and
Is it clear we're still fucking jazzed up about this movie?
They find a guy.
I think I'm yelling. I'm so excited.
They find the Confederate soldiers and they're like, "We have you outnumbered." There's like 6 dudes in the basement of Confederate soldiers, and there's two Secret Service guys. So like, "We have you outnumbered. Put down your gun." And he's like, "I will not. I'm Stonewall Jackson." So Stonewall Jackson's also in this movie.
Yeah, of course. With an amazing fake beard and mustache.
Oh, it's so bad.
And his Confederate hat, it looks like it might have been just a Confederate flag sticker that they just stuck on the front. It is so fucking dumb looking.
It's fantastic.
Oh.
So now Abe Lincoln comes down the stairs.
He just walked down his stairs.
And he's like, "Stonewall Jackson?" And one of the Confederate soldiers tries to shoot Abraham Lincoln.
Which makes sense.
Dead in his tracks, which... It makes sense. And then the guy Chamberlain just beats the shit out of this guy. Grabs him and just starts fucking pummeling this guy on the floor.
Lincoln's like,
and
all right,
Lincoln's like, all right, that's enough.
But first, when he shoots at him, Lincoln fucking dodges the bullet.
Yeah.
Not like, oh...
Lincoln ducks out of the
Not
way.
like Chamberlain, like, hits the gun while he's shooting and misses. Lincoln just fucking ducks the bullet.
Just ducks, and then Chamberlain beats the shit out of this guy.
Oh, it was great.
And then Abe Lincoln has, like, a heart-to-heart with Stonewall Jackson, and Stonewall Jackson's like, that's fine. He's like, I'll be captured by you, but I'm not fucking helping you, Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, by this point, Lincoln's told his soldiers what's going on, so they know. But Stonewall Jackson is like, no, I'm not fucking helping you. Fuck you.
He's like, I saw you murdered innocents out in the open.
Yeah.
He's like, they weren't innocents, and you know it, Stonewall Jackson.
Yeah, they were
like,
dead monsters.
Yeah, and he's like, oh no, it's just people that are sick. He's like, we have one all locked up.
Oh god, I'm exhausted. I'm out of breath.
So now they go, all right, we got to go to town and try and send out a Morse code message to get more soldiers here.
Yeah, so they keep the Confederates. They're like, all right, well, we're going to keep you as prisoners.
Yeah, they're like, that's fine. We'll lock you up in like a room. You're not going to be in a cage, but they like lock him in a room. And they go, all right, the zombies right now are just standing still because there's no noises going on. So he's like, we just got to go to the Morse code area quietly. Like in town.
Yeah.
So they do that. They leave a couple guys back. They go there, and this is where John Wilkes Booth has his conversation about how he's an actor.
Oh, he's an actor, yeah.
Is when he's with another guy in the Morse code area.
Yeah.
And then zombies come in, and John Wilkes Booth just stands there quietly up in the corner as the guy gets attacked by zombies.
Yeah, the other guy gets attacked.
And shoots two of the guys and comes running out. And he's like, there's a ton of zombies in there. They run away to this house. They get to this house. They knock on the door, and they go, help, help. Nobody answers. They kick in the door.
Yeah.
They run into the house. And then there's a shotgun blast from the floor.
Yeah.
And it shoots the one guy in the leg. He hobbles over to the bed. And now they're having a conversation. He's like, hey, we knocked on the door before we kicked it in.
Like,
Don't shoot at us.
I know how home invasion works, but okay. And Lincoln's trying to talk to them. He's like, hey, we're looking, we're trying to figure out what's going on. We're looking for refuge.
And nobody's saying anything.
No one's saying anything, which clearly, like, if they're hiding from zombies, you now know they're not zombies. They're talking.
Yeah, they're not saying anything.
Although, they might not know the rules of zombies like we do.
They work their way downstairs to the basement where the shop came from. Yeah. And there's two women down there, and Abe Lincoln comes down, and the one woman goes, Abe?
I'm like, what
she
the
knows
fuck?
him, and we're like,
she knows
what?
Abe?
And these women are dressed very provocatively, especially for that time.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Mary? And we're like, all right, so it's the same name as his wife, so it's a little confusing.
That is so confusing. They could have picked any name, and they picked Mary.
And he walks up
Unless
to her.
that's real.
And he's like, oh, it's been a long time. And she slaps him in the face. Like he's a two-timing...
Yeah. And the woman's like, Mother, that's the president, or whatever.
Yeah. The other woman's like, Mother. She's like, you know the president? And it turns out that apparently she was supposed to get married to Abe Lincoln years ago, and then he wrote her a letter and was like, no, I'm not. I don't want to get married to you now.
But first he's like, yeah, come here and we'll get married. And then she comes there, and then he leaves her a note and is like, nah, sorry.
Yeah, he's like, never mind.
Sorry, bye.
And so they bring the injured guy downstairs, and she's patching up his leg. And then we get introduced to the other two people in the basement.
Yes.
There's another woman who's not important.
Yeah.
But then there's a small child.
A
little boy, probably about 12 at this point. The little boy is Teddy fucking Roosevelt.
He's Teddy Roosevelt.
They go, this is Teddy Roosevelt from New York. And the little kid goes, hey, Mr. President. And you're like, yes, it's Teddy fucking Roosevelt. Which then we looked up, and Teddy Roosevelt would have been 5 at this time.
Yeah, he would have been 5, or maybe 6 at this time. So, but he looks about 12.
Yeah, so I just keep referring that he's a 5-year-old.
Yeah,
Teddy
imagine
Roosevelt
him as a
instead.
5-year-old, because that would be historically accurate if this movie were indeed real, which it might be.
I think it might be.
It probably is.
Yeah, definitely. I
think
this
is.
All high schools should play this during the Civil War.
Yeah, if you want kids to learn about history, this movie it compacts it and lets you know what happened.
Lets you know Teddy Roosevelt met Abe Lincoln years ago.
Oh, yeah, he did. In a whorehouse in the middle of the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
I have so many notes. I'm just trying to... I take notes so I can remember some things. It is just like a madman's manifesto, just like scribblings everywhere because I could not fit it all on one page. So if I take a second to like look for something, I might be gone for 20 minutes.
So, now they go, oh, are there any other ways out of the house other than the front door? And the lady goes, yeah, the back door. And so
you had a little chuckle at.
Yeah, which I was like, well, of course it would be the back door. And so now they're like, oh, we need weapons. So Teddy Roosevelt's like, I need a gun. And they're like, oh, we don't have any more guns, Teddy Roosevelt. But Abe Lincoln goes, but here. And he hands him a shovel that's fucking huge.
Big-ass shovel.
It's like a 12-foot long shovel. And he goes, walk softly, but carry a big stick. which is Teddy Roosevelt's favorite fucking saying.
Yeah.
So it was hysterical that he learned it from Abraham Lincoln, and that's now gospel, I feel like.
That's historical canon.
Yeah, and then he learned it while fighting zombies with Abraham
As a
Lincoln.
5-year-old.
And so they leave the thing. They get back to the fort. One of the women gets bit. They get back to the fort. Black guy shoots her in the head.
The woman who doesn't matter gets bit.
The woman that doesn't matter. She gets bit. They get back to the fort, lock it all up, and now they have a meeting. Yeah. And this is where Zombie gets thrown out there.
Oh yeah.
Because they're having a meeting, and the black guy goes. They remind me of a story that my mother used to tell. About these things called zombies, and it was like an African word. Yeah. And he's like, but they were used as slaves. And
oh my god, yeah.
And John Wilkes Booth goes, well, I enjoy good old-fashioned slaves.
Yeah.
And he takes a sip out of his thing.
It is like hammering home that this guy is a bad news. Even if you didn't figure out it's John Wilkes Booth, you're like, oh, he's a bad guy.
This guy's an asshole.
No
he
shit.
I was like, I went to the black guy. I enjoy old-fashioned slaves.
Oh my god, it is fucking... This guy, oh boy. Yeah, so, which I don't know, there's some, that's kind of where zombie comes from, but I don't know that it's African. I thought it was Haitian. I could be mistaken.
I don't know.
But yeah, it is, it's a voodoo thing, so it's something like that, so. I don't know that would make sense that he knew that, but, so now they're zombies.
Yeah, so now they start calling them zombies.
Which was very weird.
Yeah, immediately they're like, all right, yeah, zombies,
yeah.
All right.
I think before even explaining, he's like, oh yeah, they remind me of zombies, and we're like, oh come on, dude, you can't call them zombies. It's fucking 1860s.
So now they get with Stonewall Jackson, and they're like, listen, Stonewall Jackson, the best way to kill these things is if we have like swords or scythes or something. Yeah. Do you have any of those around? He's like, I'm not gonna fucking help
he's like,
you.
Even if
Lincoln.
I knew, I wouldn't tell you.
He's like, if I had a mobile guillotine,
yeah.
that was his exact wording. If I had a mobile guillotine, I wouldn't give it to you. And so they're like, well, fuck you, Stonewall Jackson.
Yeah, he's being a real asshole. Like, I get they're on different sides of a war, but, like, come on. Some fucked up shit is happening. Like,
and they're like, all right. They're like, well, the one guy's like, I know a farm.
Yeah, one of the Confederate guys.
One of the Confederate guys, who turns out to be...
he is...
Pat
Garrett.
Pat Garrett, who is the man who shot Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
So he's also in this movie.
He's also in this movie.
The guy who shot Billy the Kid's in this movie.
Yeah, later on.
He has a terrible fake mustache.
Yeah, oh, it's really bad. It's even worse than anyone else.
It's like one you would buy at the dollar store and stick on.
Yeah. We looked up Pat Garrett later because they said his name, and we noticed, like, okay, everyone in this movie is someone.
Yeah. So...
we looked it up later, but before that, he's in a house, like, during one of their little missions. He's in a house, and he's got a 6-shooter, and he's shooting it like, you know, an old-fashioned cowboy would do, like, pow, 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 pow. 6 guys in a row. Then he spins it and blows on the barrel. And I wrote that down because I'm like, that is fucking funny. Like, he's a cowboy or something. Yeah. And then later on we find, yeah, he is a cowboy, basically.
Yeah, so so Pat Garrett's like, I know of a farm where they have, like, farming tools that we can use. And, they go to this farm. Once again, they sneak out. It's nighttime now. They sneak out, and they...
don't bring any lanterns.
They don't bring any lanterns. The zombies are all, like, asleep again, and they get, like, hose and axes and all kinds of stuff. And then they're walking out of the farm.
We already got 2 hoes. Sorry, everybody.
They're walking out of the farm, and the chickens start making noise, which then wakes up the zombies.
Yes.
They get attacked. And this is where Mary gets zombie blood in her mouth.
Yes.
She takes a facial of zombie
blood.
Just
a big old load right in her mouth.
Big old zombie load right in her face. All over the place.
Yeah. So we know, and she even knows, like, fuck. Like, you know, she's going to turn.
Yeah, so everybody goes back to the fort again. It's a lot of leaving the fort, doing, like, 1 or 2 little things, and then going back to the fort again. Which, by the way, the fort... they must have gotten permission to use some sort of historical fort somewhere because it's set up like a museum. Yeah. There's like cannons just sitting in like the courtyard.
Yeah,
so,
not where you would have them.
Not where you would have cannons.
Yeah, they're just like
a war.
Just like, oh look, cannons! It's the Civil War.
So,
but yeah, this is made like how a low budget movie would be made. Is like we have one spot to shoot, and then we have the woods.
Oh, and this movie is the lowest of budgets.
Should we get into the budget.
Well, just because we just mentioned it,
That's fine.
It was $150,000 they made this movie.
That's too much.
I feel like it was $140,000 too much they paid to do this movie.
I think it was it was $10,000 to make, and then somebody snuck off with a little bit.
I think it was $10,000 to make, and then $140,000 worth of CGI.
Oh, beautiful CGI. Yeah, even Abe Lincoln's costume, his suit, the arms were too short. I noticed that. They're about 3 inches too short.
Oh, they
so
are.
like, I'm a man with long arms, so I noticed that shit. His costume was not well fitted.
But
and he's the main character.
I will say Abraham Lincoln's acting, fantastic.
Oh yeah, well I wouldn't say fantastic, but he's pretty good actually.
For a low budget movie, he was a good Abe Lincoln.
In comparison to like Mary Todd Lincoln and Stonewall Jackson, who were both fucking just deplorable. Like I hate them just because they're so bad at acting. He was like good. It was like okay.
I'd
buy him
really,
as
really
Lincoln.
Good.
Yeah.
He was just as good as Daniel Day-Lewis as Lincoln.
Yeah, just as good. We actually conjectured that.
I thought it was Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, we thought maybe
Daniel
Day-Lewis was like slowly getting out of Lincoln character, and they were like, "Oh, hey, we got this movie. Don't get out of character just yet." And so he was kind of still he was getting a little out of character. So that's what we think happened.
Yeah. So shout out to Bill Oberst Jr.
That was him.
The man
Okay.
who played Lincoln.
Yeah. So put him in another movie. Let's see if he can. He might be in more movies. But yeah, put him in something else.
Just make him be Lincoln all the time.
Yeah, he's a good Lincoln.
He was a really good Lincoln. So
I wonder if he's Lincoln in Abraham Lincoln Sex Alien or whatever.
Yeah,
another movie we saw.
Yeah, another movie we didn't watch, but
we're not gonna watch. Don't worry about it.
While looking for this on IMDb,
you can watch it and tweet at me and
Abraham
tweet
Lincoln
at us and let us know if it's
Sex
good.
Alien
Yeah,
came up.
I want to know if it's good, but I'm not gonna watch it because I get shit to do, like this dumb fucking podcast.
So where were we?
Yeah.
Oh, so they go back to the fort again. She's sick. They bring her up to a room. Instead of Abe Lincoln killing her right away, he's like, "Oh, well, just lay here and hang out."
Yeah.
And so I get it. Abe Lincoln likes this.
Yeah,
this prostitute woman who we find out later is actually a prostitute.
Yeah. He even says like, "I love you more than I've ever loved anyone." Clearly, like a big fuck you to Mary Todd.
Yeah.
So that's romantic.
And we find out she is a prostitute because her daughter talks about how her and her mother are both prostitutes.
Oh, yeah. When they first meet, Mary says, like, something about, like, oh, yeah, he was the jerk and never called me again, basically. And she, like, looks at Lincoln and, like, points at herself and, like, is he my dad? And she's like, no, that was before your time.
No.
That was much too young. Which is funny that she's just like, is my dad Lincoln?
Yeah, so... they're both prostitutes, and then Abe Lincoln apologizes. He's like, "Oh, listen," he's like, sorry.
Why was Teddy Roosevelt in a brothel? I don't know.
There's the other main question: why is 5-year-old, but at most like 11 or 12-year-old Teddy Roosevelt hanging out with 2 prostitutes in a brothel?
Very far from New York.
Very far from New York, because they're in Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
So very far from New York.
Yeah. His parents are like, go spend the summer with your aunt.
Go spend the summer
in the brothel.
In a brothel in Savannah, Georgia, Teddy Roosevelt.
Which, if that is historically... Okay, I can't say
historically
that word.
accurate.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt...
If that's true, tweet at me.
Yeah, and Teddy Roosevelt is now my favorite president ever.
Oh, yeah.
For hanging out in a brothel at 5 years old.
Yeah.
So, Abe Lincoln's like, "Listen, I'm sorry for, like, being an asshole and writing you a letter that said, hey, I don't want to get married now because I felt like I didn't deserve you." And she's like, she's like, "I forgive you." She's a prostitute now because Abe Lincoln.
She could have been
like, fuck you, I don't want to get married to you.
She could have been the first lady, but now she is a prostitute dying of a zombie virus.
And she's like, "Oh,
but she's like,
it's okay, Abe Lincoln.
Don't
no
worry
big
about
deal.
It.
Yeah, let bygones be good bygones."
Yeah. No, yeah, okay, oh boy.
This movie made me hate Abraham Lincoln.
What a dick.
More than I already do.
We'll talk about the ending, but the ending
he's even a bigger asshole.
He's a monster.
So,
in this movie, of course.
Well, maybe even in real life.
If this is accurate, then yes. I'm not going to try to say historically, because apparently I have a terrible lisp, which I'm sure you all know.
So,
fucking Lincoln.
So now they go and they sharpen up all these weapons, and they go, okay, now what we have to do is go into town and kill all the zombies. That's the only way to stop this. Murder all the zombies.
Gotta get rid of them all, which makes sense.
So,
I'm glad you can remember the plot, because it was not a linear sort of movie. It was just like back and forth.
Yeah, it was.
And I could not keep track.
It was rough. It was honestly, rough. Trying to remember this.
Yeah, I'm glad you can do that, and I can.
So they go to town. They have all their weapons sharpened.
Yeah.
and they start fighting zombies, cutting off heads. One guy has a fire axe, but like it's a modern day fire axe.
Yeah, it's like clearly like
it's like a modern day fire axe. It has like a nice polished handle with like red on the end of it. Like it's a brand new fire axe. This guy went out and bought. And
he wanted to return it, so they didn't want to scuff it up.
Yeah, so
they want to keep as much money as they can.
So they go into town. They're fighting all these zombies. Eventually, like their weapons get stuck in like the bodies. They run. Various people run into different buildings.
Yeah.
But while this is going on, John Wilkes Booth, or Wilkinson at this point, because he's still Wilkinson.
Oh yeah, he's still Wilkinson.
Goes.
Oh yeah, he stayed back. He's like, I don't feel good about killing innocent people.
Yeah, he's like, I won't kill innocent people. And he's like, all right, well then you can stay here and watch over the prostitute.
Yeah.
And make sure Stonewall Jackson doesn't kill himself.
Yeah.
Or try and murder some people. So he stays back and he goes up to Mary's room and he's like, oh, Lincoln's whore.
Yeah. He's asleep at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, she's like asleep, and he goes up. He's like, Lincoln's whore. What would the high society of Washington think of you? And then he's like, stay here. And he leaves. I thought he was going to rape her.
Okay, I didn't think that because she is a zombie.
I thought there was going to be some sexual assault going on.
I'm glad there wasn't. Although that, I don't know. No. I'm glad there wasn't. I thought he was going to shoot her in the back of the head. Just another hint. He shoots someone in the back of the head. He didn't.
So he goes downstairs while they're fighting. This is all going on while that's going on.
Yeah.
He goes downstairs and he goes over to the cell where they have the guy that's locked up.
This was
a zombie.
Yeah.
And a guy in there, and he's like,
he
knows the guy.
Yeah,
he's like, and he goes in there, and he's like,
the South is big.
Yeah. He's like, it's. He's like, I'm a secret agent. He goes, so he's saying to the zombie, he goes, I'm a secret agent. He's like, not just like, I'm part of Abe Lincoln's Secret Service, but I'm from the Confederate States of America. And he's like, and I used my great skills as an actor to fool everyone, even Abraham Lincoln.
It is so corny.
And he's like, here's to me. And he drinks out of the flask again.
Oh, it is so fucking funny.
And he goes, so now he's going to release the zombie. Because he's like, I'll get you back on the battlefield.
You think he's seen enough of zombies to know don't let this guy loose?
He's like, you've never hurt me, a good son of the South. And he unlocks the guy's chains, and the zombie attacks him. Obviously.
Of course, he attacks him.
And I thought they were going to kill John Wilkes Booth, and I was very upset.
Yeah, it would have been weird, an alternate history of where Lincoln lived past the play or whatever.
And then they shot. So he shoots the zombie in the head, and then leaves, and you don't know what goes on after that. So now we go back to the town. They're fighting the zombies. Chamberlain gets bit by zombies. They're in a building. Chamberlain gets bit by the zombie while another guy's up on a ladder up in this roof area.
Yeah.
And the guy's like...
He's like, throw me your gun,
throw me your gun. And he's like, are you bit? He's like, yeah, it's not a big deal. The guy immediately grabs the ladder and pulls it up. So
Chamberlain is now with a bunch of zombies.
Chamberlain ends up dying.
He ends up dying.
This guy climbs out. He jumps out of a window, breaks his ankle, and then immediately takes the gun.
Start walking towards him.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 zombies walk towards him. Immediately, he takes his gun and blows his fucking brains out.
No attempt to escape.
Boom!
Just, whatever, we gotta get rid of more of our characters. There's too many.
So he's dead.
Yeah.
At this point, this is where Pat Garrett does his sweet 6-shooter thing.
Yeah, that was cool. Very funny.
We go to a scene where Teddy Roosevelt is on Abraham Lincoln's shoulders, shooting a rifle. They're behind a wall, and he's shooting a rifle.
Yes.
He'll shoot a zombie, and then he goes, to the left. And Abe Lincoln walks to the left, and he goes, okay. And then he shoots another zombie, and he goes, to the right. And he moves over to the right and shoots him. This is within a span of 5 feet he's walking left or right.
Yeah.
Instead of Teddy Roosevelt just turning and shooting to the left, shooting to the right. Or shooting several zombies on the right and then go to the left. And then shooting several zombies on the left. He just makes it Lincoln walk back and forth.
It is very stupid.
And then...
And the daughter's behind them, so she can't see over the wall. And then she goes...
Mary's daughter is behind them. She's standing up on something, but you still can't see over the wall.
She's like, alright, it's clear.
She's like, looks clear to me.
How about the kid who can see all the zombies says it's clear?
So now they go back to the fort again.
Yeah.
And Abe Lincoln is praying. He's
Yes.
praying. He's like,
oh my god, this scene is so good.
He's like, I'm sorry for all the men we lost and stuff today.
Yeah.
And here comes fucking John Wilkes Booth with a bayonet in his hand.
In like a 1930s bad guy.
He sneaks in behind him. And he's holding the bayonet over Abe Lincoln's head. and then walks away.
And then he, like, slowly backs out. Like, it is
quietly.
so fucking funny.
And they're like, and then, like, we're sitting there, and we're like, well, why didn't he just kill him then?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I can't, he says to himself, he's like, I can't kill Abe Lincoln while playing, while he's praying, because then he'll go to heaven, and I want him to go to hell.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, definitely John Wilkes Booth now. We know he's John Wilkes Booth.
We get it. He's
He's
John
like,
Wilkes
I
Booth.
will kill Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
He's saying to himself in the reflection of his flask, he's like, I will kill Abraham Lincoln.
This movie was so good.
So then they, now
I have no idea what happens next.
So after this is when they go back and they talk to Stonewall Jackson again. Pat Garrett goes back and talks to Stonewall Jackson again. He's like, listen, we have to help Lincoln, or else there won't be a Confederacy to win the war if we don't do this. So he's like, all right. So he finally decides to help Lincoln, and how does he help him? He shows them a giant stockpile of gunpowder that they have in the thing.
The way they show it is great. So there's like a big pile of logs with a barrel next to it.
1, 2, 3, and then Pat Garrett just pushes down all the logs. Like there wasn't like they didn't have to turn 2 things or press 2 buttons at once.
He just knocks over a pile of logs.
Over the logs, and behind
so
it's all these things.
Yeah.
And then Stonewall Jackson's like, that's not the only secret that's here. He's like, we also have secret tunnels that lead to the outside.
Ooh, convenience.
So they're like, all right. So they decide they're going to lure all the zombies into the room where the gunpowder is and blow them all up.
Yeah.
That's their plan.
So they
stack all the dead bodies that they had of guys that Abe Lincoln went around shooting in the head because he's a ruthless motherfucker at this point.
He just fucking no mercy.
They stack all these bodies in where the gunpowder is to lure the zombies in there, and they run a rope like a fuse.
Yeah, and they have meanwhile, they have Teddy Roosevelt trying to throw a rope.
Trying to throw a rope to the black guy
who's in like a tree across the way. So he's trying to throw the rope.
And he throws the rope and he misses the first time. And John Wilkes Booth goes, "Don't they teach you how to throw like a man up in New York?"
So fucking comically villainous.
And he pulls up the thing and throws it a second time, and the black guy ties it off.
So they have like a little rope going across.
So they have like a rope which will come in play later, which is sweet. So now Teddy Roosevelt and the
like everyone who's left basically.
Everybody that's left all go down into the the tunnels. Abe Lincoln, the black guy, and Stonewall Jackson are the only 3 that are left outside from this thing. Stonewall Jackson goes up on the wall.
Should we talk about Stonewall Jackson for a minute? Because
what do we want to talk about Stonewall Jackson about?
Well, so I don't know much about the Civil War. You know a little bit more than me, and so we talked about how he died or whatever. Because we figured whoever didn't die or whatever. So you told me
he had gotten his arm chopped off.
Yeah,
because I know that Stonewall Jackson's arm has its own grave. So he got shot by his own men by accident one night.
Yeah.
That were on watch, and he got shot by his own men. They ended up having to amputate his arm, and then he died from pneumonia like 8 days later.
Yeah. So, but then this is when I realized he's had one arm this whole movie. He has one sleeve is like just pinned up.
Yeah.
And he's had one arm. So I'm like, oh shit, he's already lost his arm, and we know he's gonna die soon after that. Oh, he's a goner.
So he gets up on the wall with this bugle and he starts playing Reveille. So
just getting all the zombies' attention.
Playing that, and all the zombies are coming. Now Abe Lincoln goes, "Open the gates!" Rather than having the gates open this whole time, he's like, "Open the gates now!"
Yeah.
So John Wilkes Booth is down there, and they open up the gates. Then John Wilkes Booth runs down into the tunnels.
Well, first they set the fuse. And you're like, well, what if the zombie steps on the fuse and puts it out?
Yeah, so Abe Lincoln, Abe Lincoln has the scythe and he's chopping off zombies' heads. And then he folds the scythe up.
Yeah, why does he do that?
And then he just starts hitting them with just
like
the
pushing
folded
them
up
back.
scythe. And then he lights the fuse and then runs up the stairs.
Yeah.
Where Stonewall Jackson and the black guy are, and they're like, we have 1 minute until the thing explodes. And then a zombie steps on the fuse.
Yeah.
And like Casey said, I was like, well, what if one of these multiple zombies steps on the fuse?
A huge crowd.
And it does.
And they somehow know it.
They're standing up on the thing, and Stonewall Jackson's like, it should have exploded by now. He's like, the fuse must be out. And Abe Lincoln's like, well, I'll go and light the fuse.
Yeah.
And Stonewall Jackson's like,
president.
no. He's like, no, I'll do it. He's like, it was my fort, and he's like, it's Confederate soldiers, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
So they give Stonewall Jackson one of the powder pushers for the cannon. and light that on fire. But instead of actually having one like lit on fire,
which would be
and have an
so
actual flame,
easy. It would be so easy to light on fire, guys.
They did a CGI flame, and it looked really shitty.
It is so corny. It just like
Now Stonewall Jackson wades his way into a crowd of zombies,
and they're not biting him, and he's not like fighting through. He's just like pushing his way like through like a line at a store, just like excuse me, and they're not. It's fine. They don't care.
He turns back, looks at Abe Lincoln. Abe Lincoln salutes him,
kind of like a fuck you, like I got two arms, bitch.
And then Stonewall Jackson lights the fuse, gets attacked by the zombies. Huge explosion, to which Abraham Lincoln and the black guy grab onto their sights and wrap it around the rope and ride it down like a zip line.
Zip line away from an explosion. So you have this slow-mo of Lincoln and a soldier zip lining away from an explosion in a movie a movie set in the 1860s. It is glorious.
And then Abe Lincoln comes out of the CGI smoke and everybody's like, yeah!
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm sure we cheered, too.
So now it fast forwards to the Gettysburg Address.
Yes.
And Abe Lincoln's there doing the Gettysburg Address. Oh, so at this point, a little bit before that, you find out that Mary's daughter finally finds out that Mary is infected.
Yeah.
And that Abe Lincoln takes her and carries her like he's going to go kill her.
Yeah.
So now Gettysburg Address happens.
Yeah.
It's the actual Gettysburg Address. They do the whole thing.
Yeah.
While that's going on, it also shows you him going to a barn. He knocks on the door. There's a doctor that answers. He's like, "Have you found a cure or anything yet?" And we're like, "Oh, well, he didn't kill Mary."
Yeah, obviously. We were trying to think, what famous doctor could there be? We don't know. And so if you know, let us know.
So they go into the
we were like,
barn.
You were like, he's gonna say, "Thanks for the help, Albert Einstein."
Yeah. Hey, Albert Einstein.
Not time appropriate, but it would have been very funny.
You're the smartest man around, Albert Einstein. Thomas Edison.
Would have not been out of place for this movie.
So they walk into the back room, and the woman's all chained up there, and he's like cleaning like her wounds.
She's in the shadows, but we're like, obviously it's fucking Mary. We're not idiots.
Exactly who it was. And while that's going on, Abe Lincoln's telling the doctor about how there's a plot to murder him by John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
He's like, "Do you know Wilkinson that helped us?" He's like talking to Mary, and he's like, "Turns out that he was a Confederate sympathizer, and his name is really John Wilkes Booth." And he's like, "And they're conspiring to kill me at whatever the restaurant bar area is." He's like, "They're meeting there to conspire to kill me." But he's like, "We're keeping a good eye on him."
Yeah,
and now the zombie...
He's like, "Don't worry, I'm safe."
The zombie digs her hands into Abraham Lincoln's arm, and now he gets scratched. He ends up killing Mary with a gun.
Yeah.
He gets scratched, so now he's going to turn into a zombie.
Yes.
So he tells the doctor, he's like, "Go deliver a message to the place where John Wilkes Booth is meeting." So the doctor goes, rides a horse over there.
Rides
a horse over there. Knocks on the door, and John Wilkes Booth answers the door. He goes, "Are you John Wilkes Booth?"
He's like, "Yes."
And he goes, "Yes." And he goes, "I have a letter for you." And he goes, "Who from?" And he goes, he didn't give his name. He hands him the letter, and John Wilkes Booth reads it and then walks inside and goes, "Guys, I have great news."
He says two names, which I'm sure were also part of the conspiracy, but
he goes, "Guys, I have great news." And now it cuts to Abraham Lincoln. Mary Todd's in the back, like, getting ready to go to the play.
She's like, "Oh, I'm so excited to see the president do and see things." I'm just imitating her acting. It's bad.
He's like looking in the mirror and getting ready. To which this point, me and Casey are like, he's involving his wife in his own assassination plot.
He is gonna make his wife watch him get shot in the head because he's gonna turn into a zombie.
Because he's a terrible fucking person.
Instead of being like, "Hey, John Wilkes," and there was no reason for that. There was no like, "Oh, I'm gonna make him kill me so that people think they're bad or whatever."
No, it's not even. It's not even explained. He's just like, "Man, I'll let John Wilkes Booth shoot me in the head. That'll make him feel good about himself."
Hey, he's a friend. He's an old friend. I know we have our differences now, but why not let him kill me?
So they leave the White House and they're walking down like the street, and the movie ends with Abe Lincoln. He stops. He looks at the White House. And the White House is black at this point because it's nighttime outside.
But it's not like a dark white, like it would be
it's
at
like
night.
just black.
It's like they painted like a fake White House black, like to make us think it was night. I don't know.
And so he stands there and looks at it, and then he continues to walk down the street again, and then the movie fades to black.
Yeah. Oh man.
Hit the credits.
So fucking good.
And yeah, it was fantastic.
Oh my god, I could not recommend this movie enough. Let's see if I was missing anything. I don't know. Just a few like action beats were great. Like
favorite line in this movie.
Yeah.
Was during one of the fights, Abraham Lincoln cuts off a zombie's head and he goes, emancipate this.
It's so great. So much
great.
of the fight is like basically kung fu actors, like people like Mary's daughter, like one of the prostitutes, is just like spinning with this weapon and like fucking shit up. Like it is so over the top dramatic action. It is great.
My favorite line was still, I like good old-fashioned slaves. He takes a sip out of
it was so...
Because it was just so out of place.
It is so out of place. Like,
it was so bad.
We were actually expecting, like, as soon as you see an African-American as one of the Secret Service, we were like, that's weird. And we were expecting them to be racist towards him. But no one else is.
No, just John Wilkes Booth.
Just this one guy who, at the time, we're like, oh, it's just like, he's going to eventually stop being racist, and that'll be his character arc. Nope. He gets even worse.
No, he's just John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
He's just a dick.
Yep. So just a lot of cool, like, kung fu moves, a lot of, like, combat rolls, shit like that. The action is great.
I love this movie.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to recommend this movie.
It's one of those movies that it's so bad that it's good.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. In fact, after the movie was done, we had to look at the special features.
Oh, yeah.
And
now is the time to play it. Let me get that right.
A shout out to Ronald Ogden, who played Chamberlain, because...
Let's not say what it is. Let's just play it.
During the gag reel at the end, this is what played, and I'll be quiet for a minute here.
All right, we're gonna play this whole thing. It's only 40 seconds, but it is worth it. And this is how we ended the movie, because we watched the gag reel, and this is the last bit we see, and we cheered so triumphantly. And here it is.
I'm about to lay down some rhymes for you. My name's Chamberlain, motherfucker. I roll through this place like an 18-wheel trucker. I protect Honored Abe in this place. Zombies step up to me, I cut off their neck and their face. I cut them from the north to the south. I grab their head and I put my balls in their mouth. I'm a burly Mick. I rip off your head, make you some butter. I got my hatchet machete. Zombies, best be ready.
So there you go. Chamberlain cuts off their heads, puts his balls in their mouth.
It was so funny. Because the gag reel wasn't really great. It was just kind of like them goofing around like, okay, they had fun on set. And then that ended it. It was so great.
It was the greatest thing ever.
And
so shout out for sure to Ronald Ogden. That made the movie even better.
Ronald Ogden, if you know Ronald Ogden, tweet at him and tell him we love him. He is fucking awesome. Oh man, that was so good. Oh, something I wanted to point out, which I'm assuming they did this on purpose. So the Gettysburg Address is on November 6th, 1963, and when that happens, I think it is because that's when it happens in this movie, so that's why I know. It says 1 week later, and then he's giving the address. That means the events of the zombie outbreak took place on Halloween. That is 7 days previous, on October 31st. Which is, this movie is just full of like little bits of trivia that you wouldn't know unless you cared about this horrible movie.
And talking about trivia, we'll jump into some of the trivia for this movie.
Sounds good to me. I'm excited, actually.
Avid history buff actor Bill Oberst Jr., the man who played Lincoln, said he would be Abraham Lincoln if he could deliver the Gettysburg Address. They agreed to it, and he did it from memory. Because he had played Abraham Lincoln multiple times on stage.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
So it makes perfect sense. He was really, really good.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Let's see, what else do we have?
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking at my notes to make sure I'm not missing anything, because, I would hate to deprive you people of this glorious movie. But seriously, even if you've listened, still, please, get some friends together and watch this movie. It is so good. All right, go ahead.
So Pat Garrett, on here, as we said, he's a famous lawman, killed Billy the Kid, but according to this, Pat Garrett would have only been 11 years old at the beginning of the Civil War, and only 15 at its conclusion.
Nice.
He was much older than that.
Yeah, he was probably about 30 in this movie, so, okay. So, they're kind of playing fast and loose with the thing, which would have made sense if that was Albert Einstein at the end. Oh, man. This movie.
This film was released on May 29th, 2012 to capitalize on Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter,
of course,
which was released in the U.S. on June 22nd.
Yeah.
So they beat Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter to the chase. And honestly, better movie than Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
So much better.
I'm not a huge fan of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yeah, me neither. Obviously it's not great.
This was a million times better.
This was so good
than anything.
And a lot of good bad movies are like, it's only good bad because it's stupid and like they're trying hard. But I kind of got the feeling from this that they knew they were making. I mean, it's the Asylum. They know what they're doing. Like they know they're making shitty movies. But a lot of even a lot of the jokes, like they kind of worked for me. Like it wasn't just like, oh my god, Mary Todd Lincoln is such a bad actress. It was a lot of like, oh, they are actually playing this up for laughs, and it's working. It was actually working for me. And I don't consider myself like an idiot. I don't laugh at dumb shit. I mean, I do. Obviously, this is what we're doing. But it was like jokes that landed, and that was fucking refreshing to see a good bad movie that kind of was self-aware, I think, but still did it well, which people can't really do too often. So yeah, that was an interesting thing to see from someone. I've seen a lot of good bad movies, but that was
apparently Stonewall Jackson was dead before this entire thing.
Okay,
took place
well,
too.
so
Stonewall Jackson was dead before the Battle of Gettysburg, and this took place after the Battle of Gettysburg.
Okay, so
he would have already been dead.
I mean, also he didn't die by zombies. But so maybe they're mistaken. Maybe history is mistaken, and this is what really happened.
Could be.
Yeah, history books are written by the winners, and maybe they didn't want to give Stonewall Jackson a glorious death like this. Oh, this movie.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah. So, I feel like we're forgetting something. Are we forgetting something?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That was Abe Lincoln versus Zombies.
Yeah.
Like I said, definitely a movie I would recommend for you guys to all go out and see.
Yeah, I think we've said that about 10 times, but please see it. And I was worried because sometimes movies can be, if they're like bad, like this movie was, they can be really slow and boring. Which like the plot was slow. The plot was boring.
No, this one you have zombies within like the first minute of the movie.
Yeah, they
get to fighting zombies by like minute 12.
Yeah,
minute 12 of the movie, they're full out zombie fighting.
Yeah, they're
action. Like they understand. Listen,
we know what this is.
We know this is just an action schlick movie. We don't want to. We don't want to deprive the audience of what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Just cheesy action.
Yeah, and they delivered. And I feel like we can't do movies like this because I don't think I was funny once this whole thing. And please tweet at me and let me know. I don't think I was funny at all, even though I just laughed at my own joke. I don't think I was funny at all because I was just so excited at how good this movie was.
It was so... I can't... There's nothing I can insult this movie about because I loved it.
I mean,
I love this movie. The people on IMDb are fucking idiots.
Should be a 10 out of 10.
I looked up Rotten Tomatoes. This movie did not have a Rotten Tomatoes rating.
Oh, man.
But
We gotta get in there.
those fucking idiots probably would rate it bad, too.
Yeah, fucking idiots. So, yeah, this movie, great movie, 10 out of 10. Maybe 9.9 out of 10 for the CGI. Maybe 9.99. Yeah, it was great. Oh, boy. So, yeah, so I think that'll about do it, right?
That's it, guys. So
sorry for not being funny. Let's wrap it up with a few plugs.
Yeah, thank you for listening this week for sure.
Yes, thank you so much. Please tell your friends, rate and subscribe, whatever. We haven't put these up yet, so once we do, we'll kind of, we might put this on iTunes, and we might also throw it up on YouTube, just so we have it on multiple platforms. We'll see. We still have like just hosting to figure. We have a lot of technical stuff to figure out still. So we'll clue you in on what to do when we're ready. When we're there. We're not there yet. So okay.
So be sure to check out our Twitter.
Yeah, check out our Twitter at Zomboys Pod. I'm not gonna spell. I spelled everything the first episode, and I realized we can just put it in the description. So I'm not gonna spell it like your children. I'm sorry. Yeah, check out our Twitter at Zomboys Pod. You can follow me at @KCLynch on Instagram and Twitter. Do you want to give out your Twitter? No,
I don't have a Twitter, but you can follow me at MOLCSVAY. That's at MOLSVAY.
There you go.
That's on Instagram.
And my personal thing is I sell art on Etsy, Casey Lynch Studio, probably link in bio or whatever. So check that out if you want. If you like weird art shit, then yeah, that's about it.
All right, guys. So enjoy it and keep watching zombie movies.
And don't forget, aim for the head.